Hi, I'm Ulrik Hagerup. I am CEO of Constructive Institute in Aarhus, something we have set up since I was at Taipei last year in order to talk about constructive journalism and the need for a change in the global news culture. And I must say, first of all, your country is extremely beautiful, and also, in my mind, as what I saw, there's also a great need for a change in your news culture. As I saw it, you has cut down the amount of time for each interview, each clip in your news bulletins to very, very short in the last years. You add more and more colors, you are more and more loud, and you do that to attract attention from the audience. And this is what's happening all over the world these days. But in a time of speed, one needs to think slowly. And that's what we want to do at Constructive Journalism and try to make an impact in the world. And I'm very thrilled to hear what you have been doing for the last year in the work with spreading the ideas in constructive journalism, a kind of journalism which do not violate any of the principles of traditional journalism. It is just more accurate journalism, it's just more focused journalism, balanced and fair journalism, and it actually works when people try to implement this. So I'm so thrilled to hear that you are now giving out prizes for this and you are spreading it throughout your beautiful country. The thing is with the media world, it's pretty much like this. The stream of change, the flood of change is so fast and so rapid that it will change a lot of things. People are changing their minds of consumption of news in rapid speed. And if we do as we have always done, we'll probably get the results we've always gotten. And if they're not very good, we better change. And actually, that's you up there. So we have to change. And a lot of people around the world are now talking about that the big problem is fake news. No, it's not really the big problem. Of course it's a problem, but it has always been there. Misinformation, governments, spies, everybody has tried to use media and information to influence people in the wrong way. But the big problem, and what we can do something about right now, as from now, that's news. News is the big problem. Our culture is the big problem. The way I have been taught in journalism school, the way the culture is in my newsrooms, the way I see myself, my identity, what I think is a good story, has to change a little bit. I have been taught that a good story is a bad story, and it doesn't have to be like that. Journalism can also be inspirational. And the reason why we have to change is also all these curves going down. These are young people turning their backs on traditional news. These are advertising leaving traditional news. All the curves are going down. We know we are in a crisis. And if you are in a crisis, the goal and the solution is not just speeding up and do more of what is not working. You have to rethink your business, you have to rethink your identity. There have been three big stories in my life as a journalist. 9/11, the fall of the Berlin Wall, and the election of this guy, the president of the most powerful democracy in the world, United States, where I know that both my country, Denmark, and your country, we take a great pride of adapting things from the American culture. I don't hope we'll adapt this one. And why was this guy elected? I'm not talking politics here. I'm talking about how come he was elected. And one of the reasons why was because Donald Trump got media exposure for $1.9 billion US, which he would have to pay in advertising if the news media didn't overexpose him to a degree where he got much more exposure in news media than any other candidate together. Why? Because he creates drama, he created conflict, talked about crooks and victims, which are tabloid ways of seeing the world, angling stories, not only in tabloid media, but also in so-called serious news broadcasters, serious newspapers. This is a global disease, and we have to fix it, but because it gives people a false picture of the world. And one of the things that's wrong is that all these people who have told us that journalism is just another product. It's a business school logic that is dangerous, because journalism is so much more important than any product. Of course, we need to sell it. We need an audience. But we also have to remember why we're here. We're here to tell important stories to people about the world, about themselves, about each other, in order for them to make up their own mind. We need to be an authority in societies where there are none left. And in societies where there are no authorities left, we get a terrible political debate, and the attention will be taken by those who are the most rude, who are the most loud, who has the most likes on Facebook, and then the Donald Trumps of the world will become presidents everywhere. So this guy, he's the CEO of a television company in the United States, CBS, and he was being criticized for overexposing Donald Trump and broadcasting from all his rallies when he was not doing it for any other candidate. And then he was being asked, why are you doing that? And then he said this: it may not be good for America, but it's damn good for the CBS. The money's rolling in, bring it on, Donald, go ahead, keep on going. And they did. And Donald Trump did. And he got elected. This is a global illness, and we have to fix it. Thomas Patterson, a brilliant professor of Harvard University in the United States, puts it like this, that the real bias of the press is not that it's liberal. Its bias is a decided preference for the negative. And I think he has a point. This is Reuters Institute of Oxford in Great Britain doing a global survey of all the people who have left news in the recent years. Stop reading the newspaper, stop watching TV news, and stop watching news online as well. 48% of them say that it's because it can have a negative effect on my mood to watch news. 48%. Number 2 is I can't rely on news to be true. And number 3 is there's nothing I can do about it. Apathy. Apathy, distrust, and negativity. People feel depressed. Is that why you became a journalist? Is that why you're a publisher? And if not, shouldn't we change? And we can. Remember what Martin Luther King did not say. He did not say, I have a nightmare. Constructive journalism is an answer to some of these questions. What I was taught in journalism school, and what you've been taught also in your schools, were journalism was about breaking news. And more and more newsrooms are now paying more and more attention about this, bringing new platforms, speeding up. And breaking news is always about now. It's about, the goal is speed. We ask questions of what and when. Our style is, the more dramatic, the better it is. And the role is like the police car. We roll out with flashing lights, like you have in Taipei. What was it? 110 different ENG trucks fighting to get to the accidents before anyone else. And you angle your stories on drama and conflict. The more dramatic, the better. The more conflict, the better. I'm not saying this is wrong. I'm just saying this is not enough. That's why we have investigative reporting, which is great. But it's costly, and a lot of newsrooms, they cut down on this in order to put it over here. What is investigative reporting? It's about yesterday. It's about putting a blame to someone. We ask the questions of who did it and why did it happen. We are critical in our style, and we are prosecutors in the role we play, sometimes so much that we also play the judges, and we angle the stories on crooks and victims. The problem, if that's the only journalism we do, we have a tendency that the discussions in society will be about now or will be about yesterday. What about tomorrow? Politics is about tomorrow, but if we as news people only focus on now and yesterday, politics will be about now and yesterday. Who's to blame for the problems we're in? What people out there want, they want to be inspired. They want possible solutions. And that's what constructive journalism is about. It's always about tomorrow. It's about inspiration. We ask new questions, which will be now, knowing all this, but now what and how? That's questions about tomorrow. We're curious. We facilitate debates about a better tomorrow, and we angle our stories on best practice and possible solutions. That's constructive journalism. And you can't do constructive journalism if you haven't documented first there's a problem for society that you can discuss possible solutions for. Otherwise, it's just a cute story, a nice story. Stories about school children in the rain. Nice story, but is it journalism? Is it important? Not really. Constructive journalism is about important matters to society. At Constructive Institute, we're working with this. We try to change the global news culture in the next 5 years. And we do it in order to reinstall trust in journalism, mainly among the young, who are leaving news all over the world, also in your country. And we want news media to become more meaningful. And we do it in 3 ways. New knowledge, which is research, educational material, projects, and new concepts. We do it in new inspiration, which is something like this, also conferences, global prizes, seminars, keynotes. And we have new role models, which is in an international constructive fellowship program, where I hope that a journalist or an editor, one of the best talents from your country, can come from September next year to Aarhus and be a part of this fellowship, which has just started beginning of September this year. Our vision is to improve democracy and public knowledge. We want to make journalism great again. Take that, Donald Trump. We want to change the global news culture, and our strategies is what I talked about before. And we are a non-profit organization in order to create a journalistic constructive movement throughout the world. We have a conference, and you're most welcome to join. And remembering that journalism is a feedback mechanism that can help society self-correct. That's what journalism is about. And we need to rethink journalism, not only because we want to save journalism, not only because we want to make more money for the media companies, but because we want to do good for our societies. That's why we're publishers. That's why we became journalists. Let's remember that and keep the good work running in Taiwan. The world needs it. The world needs new role models, and you're on the right track. So, thank you very much.